education explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He's a husband, a father, and a founder of called the Damn Leads, none other than Mr. Drewbie Wilson.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Daniel. I'm excited to be here. Always fun to chat.
Likewise, Mr. Drewbie. Welcome on Abstract Asset. Can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Of course. So you were kind enough to say I'm a husband, a father, entrepreneur. I'm also an author, a podcast host, and I'm an all-around sales guy that's been in the game since I was a little dude, running the streets, selling anything and everything I could get my hands on. BMX parts, you name it. I was selling it somewhere if I could. And as I got older, I met a pretty lady, got married, had a kid, bought a house, did all the things that we dreamed to do, and realized that I still wasn't 100% satisfied. And so I went on the journey of personal development and understanding that the life we want is 100% capable if we will call the damn leads. And in order to do that, you probably need a good system, process, and routine for your life, which is ultimately what I help people develop.
Indeed, and thank you so much for calling the Damn Leads to the world. And Mr. Drewbie, thank you for empowering us through this book. So, called the Damn Leads is a battle cry against procrastination beyond fear. What is the most sophisticated excuse you hear from otherwise talented entrepreneurs and salespeople for not picking up the phone, and how do dismantle it?
The number one thing I hear from people is that they don't know what to say.
Mm,
And it's always so interesting to me because I think the issue is you're just afraid of what the other person is going to say and how you're going to react to it. That's the
true.
fear that most people are struggling with. And so, what I often have to remind our clients and people that I'm coaching through this process is that as long as you're going into the conversation with the purpose and intention of serving and helping the other person, then you really have nothing to worry about. Like, if they don't want your help, that's okay. Like, we don't have to help everyone if they don't want our help. But you're never going to know if you aren't at least having the conversation and making the attempt to help. And often the best way to help someone is to ask questions and let them tell you what they need help with exactly, instead of going into it transactionally and trying to steamroll the person into buying your product or service because you're reading off of a script or something that feels very inauthentic or not genuine to who you are and what your purpose aligns with. And that's what creates that lack of confidence and not knowing what to say. So here's the thing. If you've ever
Mhm.
struggled with call reluctance or you've been afraid to pick up the phone, what 5 or 6 questions can you ask that person on the other end of the line that you know simply give you a chance to help them solve a problem? If you start there, it's going to make your life way, way easier.
Yes, more easier people, and you have the confidence. So, Mr. Derby, for many founders and creators, salespersons feels like inauthentic identity. How does your approach help someone reframe calling a damn lead from a sleazy pitch into a natural extension of their expertise and desire to help?
Well, it's a great follow up because I think it just continues on with what we were talking about in terms of showing up with a servant's mentality, really having the idea of who am I talking to? Why am I talking to them? What am I talking to them about? How is it going to benefit them? And what's going to happen if we end up working together or going down that path? So, who, why, what, how, what if you follow that framework, it's going to give you the opportunity to really go into every situation feeling confident in how you're going to approach it so that it's the same every time and there's no there I won't say there's less chaos,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're more controlled. You understand what the flow should be like. So unless that person is just way out in left field or doing some crazy stuff, you kind of set an expectation of how every conversation is going to go, which again just leans back to having more confidence. And when you know you've shown up and done everything you were supposed to do from the start, calling and following up with those individuals later on down the line feels a lot less salesy, and it feels a lot more about service and helping them, which makes it a lot easier to pick up the phone and have that conversation.
Less, definitely less salesy. We love that, Mr. Derby. We often calculate the cost of doing sales, but what is the hidden corrosive cost of not doing it? How does lead avoidance slowly strangle a business culture, cash flow, and the founder's own confidence?
Oh, well, it's a slow bleed out, right? It's kind of like
Mm,
it happens over time, because what usually you'll see is a business owner starts to spend money on marketing, right?
yes.
They've built up their organic presence, their referrals, they've got enough business to keep the doors open and maybe just a little bit extra. So they're like, okay, I'm going to go start spending on marketing and grow this thing. I love that. That's a very logical next step. And then you see them go and spend money on these marketing campaigns, and they're generating leads, and maybe you're spending $500 a month, maybe you're spending $5,000 a month. The issue is, if you're spending that money and getting those leads, if you don't have a system, a process, and a routine for how you're going to work those leads, how you're going to measure the results of that marketing campaign, and then ultimately someone who's responsible for handling that whole process, over the next 3 to 6 months, you're slowly going to see your cash reserves going down, and you're going to be asking yourself why you have all these leads, but not seeing any additional rise in sales. And that's why Call the Damn Leads exists, because listen, I could be the greatest marketer in the world and I could bring you every potential lead in your city. But if you don't call them, if you don't ask questions and see if your company is a good fit to help them, or if they even need your help at all to begin with, or if maybe they were trying to win a gift card on Facebook, that's why they clicked the box to win and you have to go through this whole process. And if you're not, you'll see business owners will go out of business because they're not getting a return on that investment from their marketing. And then it just creates this giant wheel of stress, and then all the other sales guys are being pushed to try to figure it out, and it just gets ugly, to be honest with you.
So let's talk about the perfectionism trap. How does the quest for the perfect script, the perfect CRM, or the perfect lead list become the ultimate avoidance tactic? What is your good enough threshold to just start?
This is one of the most difficult conversations to have with people.
Mm,
A lead, in my
yes.
opinion, right? I'm just a humble man who's done some things over the years. I've got a book or two out there about this and helped thousands of people. But I'm just saying, my opinion is a lead is a person or a company, a contact point, and some level of interest. And what I mean by
Mm,
that is, you either have a person's name or the business name, you have some form of contact, whether that's a phone number, an email address, maybe a physical mailing address. If you know their social media accounts and you can, connect with them on social media through direct messages. All of these are different contact points that you can be leveraging in your business to follow up with potential clients. And if I have a client's name, a contact point, and some level of interest, or, if you're going to do cold outreach, some level of value that I can provide very, very quickly to that individual, that's not just, hey, my name is Drew, I can save you money on XYZ thing, because that's never a sexy offer. It's everybody's doing that. But if I can bring you some genuine value, then that's a reason for me to consider you a lead and start following up with you. So for those of you that are making the excuses that you don't have leads, the issue is you. You have them. You just aren't willing to work through every possible avenue to turn that opportunity into a reality.
For sure, they are procrastinating, Mr. Drewbie. A core mindset shift is moving from fear of rejection to curiosity about qualification. Can you walk us through the internal monologue change in the moment right before dialing?
So I think the biggest thing to me is in my business, especially, I don't do cold outreach. Everyone that I'm
Mhm.
reaching out to has bought something from me or downloaded one of my free giveaways that is of value to some sort, or they've asked to be a part of my communities or programs or something that I'm sharing with the world. So I have much less reservation about calling those individuals because they've given me their money. They've already told me they know, like, and trust me enough that they want to learn more about me or what I have going on. So, like, I have in these days, I have no issue picking up the phone and calling them most of the time. However, I'm still, I'm not perfect. And there are still occasions where I see a lead who has responded negatively to something or who has said something in kind of a crass or rude way in one of my campaigns. And when I have to call them, there is some hesitancy and it is kind of like, oh boy, I don't know if I want to talk to this person. Like, what if they're a jerk, or what if they say more disrespectful things and I have to try to politely correct them? And it's easy to go down that rabbit hole, but at the end of the day, I simply just flip my hat around and I put on my service hat and I go, all right, Drewbie, you're going to call and you're going to help this person. And if they want help, you'll help them. And if they don't want your help, that's okay too. Thank them, ask them for a referral, and move on to the next person. That's the biggest shift that I have to remind myself at any given point when I run into, an upset customer or somebody who I've had a less than positive experience with on the front end. And here's the thing about it, Daniel, is that sometimes those negative first interactions can lead to some really great relationships. I had someone recently that made a purchase on the store and made a mistake during the process and got kind of upset with us, like we made a mistake and did something wrong. And so her first couple of messages were a little bit spicy, a little rude. But I just remembered that these things happen. And so I clearly explained our side of the situation. I made some offers on how we could meet in the middle and solve the problem together so that both sides would come out on a good place. And it ended up the lady was very excited, sent me the extra money to mix in and add the other offer that she wanted, and now has sent me multiple screenshots of her sharing the stuff on social media. So, like, make those calls even when you're a little bit nervous or afraid, because you never know what showing up and serving your clientele or your leads could turn into.
Definitely. Definitely. Who knows? It will be a fruitful connection. So, what is your 60-second physical or mental ritual to shift from a state of avoidance to a state of focus, helpful connection right before the first call of a block?
One of the best things that you can do is really sit down and think about who you're doing it for, why you're doing it, and what you plan to do. And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, right? Who, why, what, how, what if. So, like, who am
Mm.
I doing this for? I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my wife, son, my kid, aunts, uncles, whoever matters to you. You're doing it for the kids in Africa that you donate to, or you're doing it for whatever local charity that you like to donate to. Like, you have to remember, you do things that bring a massive impact to the world. Who gets to benefit from the work that you're about to do? Because that's always like a really good reminder and feeling. And then it's like, all right, well, why am I calling? I'm calling because I want to help this person get dialed in and solve the call reluctance that they keep dealing with on a day-to-day basis, so that they can pick up the phone, have confident conversations, and make more sales to the people they should be working with and who want to work with them. And as long as I think about it that way, then I have no worries. And I think if you're listening to this and you need that reminder, it's like, who are you doing it for? What are you going to do? How are you going to help these people solve that problem? And what's going to happen when you guys decide to work together? Because you have to remember to set that expectation for people so that they feel really confident saying yes, because they know exactly what's going to happen once they do.
Yes, definitely saying yes is something good. So, Mr. Drewbie, as an entrepreneur, an author, a podcast host, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Short term goal is I'm getting ready to do a podcast and I want to try to do one episode release every day for a year straight. So it's a really big goal, Mr. Daniel. I know you do a lot of podcasts, so I want to give you your flowers publicly because I know how much effort that takes. And
Thank
so
you.
that's one of my short term goals. Long term goals, it is currently Friday, February 6th, 2026, as of recording this episode right now. And so by the year 2030, I would
Mm,
like Call the Damn Leads, our logo, our brand, to be represented in every airport across the United States. Whether someone's reading our book, they have a hat or a t-shirt on that says Call the Damn Leads. I think by the year 2030, we can be in every airport across the United States. So that's my big long-term goal right now. And I want to say thank you to everybody, including yourself, Mr. Daniel, for helping me make that possible.
no worries at all. Please do come over to all my podcasts, and 100% we support you here on my all my podcasts. So good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. Publishing every day is something good for me. I do publish every day through my 3 podcasts, which is amazing because doing this is my aim is to empower people all over the world to be better, to be the best in their own field. So, Mr. Derby, what will be a piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Best advice I can give is trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. There's going to be struggles. You're going to feel like you got 10 steps ahead and then dragged 20 steps backwards and you're starting over from the beginning. It is a long, arduous cycle. But if you wake up every day and you just show up and you do everything in your power to really try hard and care about other people and do what you can do to the best of your abilities, over time you will look up and realize that if you are intentional, you will live the life that you want to live. But you have to
Yes.
get clarity on what that means to you, who you want to be around to make that a reality, and ultimately what you're willing to sacrifice so that you can have the things that you truly desire, because it's not that far away. You're just holding on to things that aren't serving you or getting you closer to that goal. And when you start getting clear about what those are and getting rid of them and focusing on the things that matter, your life's going to be pretty sweet.
Definitely. Thank you for that inspiring advice. And I was inspired to your story about being lean to a chubby when you are young. How did you
Oh,
do that?
yeah.
Can you tell us?
So I was always a husky kid growing up, overweight, had to shop in the big and tall section. And I want to say I was in my early 20s. I jumped
Mm-hmm.
on the scale I'm about 6 feet tall, just a little bit over. I
Oh,
jumped
yeah.
on the scale and I was 315 pounds.
Oh,
And I
wow.
kind of looked at myself in the mirror and I was very just disappointed. I was just disappointed in myself, and I wasn't getting the attention that I wanted from the people I wanted it from. And so the first time I really got serious about my weight loss journey, I stopped drinking soda. I started moving my body more. I really started watching what I ate. And I went
Mm-hmm.
from 315 down to about 215. And so I
Mm-hmm.
lost 100 pounds. No weight loss drugs, no, fancy diets or anything like that. Just good old fashioned hard work and paying attention. And then I met a pretty girl. We started dating, got married. Shortly after that, we had she was pregnant. Then we had our son, and I looked again, and I was from 215 back to like 285 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I almost all that weight that I lost, I put it back on. And God love my wife. She came to me one day and she's like, I know that I'm not in the best shape because I just had our son and I got to work on myself too. But everything you got going on right now is just it's not doing it for me. And as much as I love you, I have to be honest about that. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, Daniel. Like, man, that's tough. However, knowing that I didn't want to be that big either, and it was just a hard truth and a reality. I looked at her, I looked at my young son who had just been born, and I'm like, I don't want to set a bad example for him. I don't want to lose her because she's pretty, and obviously I ain't going to do a whole lot better than her in my lifetime. So I got to make sure I take care of that relationship, Mr. Daniel. And so I just got back on the train, and I started slow, and I built a new lifestyle instead of just focusing on the number on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just I started walking and I started listening to podcasts like this so I could learn and get motivated and see, hey, what are the people who are living the life that I want to live doing, and how are they doing it, and how often, and what does that look like on a day-to-day basis. And I just kind of started rebuilding what other people were doing that made them successful. And that, I pick a little from this person and a little from this person. And one person might be really, really great at business, but terrible home life. And some people might have an amazing home life, but they're always broke and always struggling. And it's like, I don't want that either. So how can I take a little of this and a little of this from each person that I'm seeing and make it my own so that I can be the best me possible? And that's my main focus every day. And that's how I stay athletic and fit now instead of falling back into those old bad habits and mindsets around my physical fitness.
Mm-hmm. And congratulations for that, Minister Drewbie. That's called the damn lead. For sure. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in 6th season, abstract poetry in 3rd season, and of course my book 101 review in 6th season too, comedy 101 in its 3rd season, and food 101 in 6th season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 of 5th season, science 101, sex 101 in 4th season, spiritual awakening, trivia 101, law 101, mental health 101, motivation 101, entrepreneurship 101, and Bible verses 101 on my baby podcast. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Drewbie, if the founder embodies this discipline, what kind of company cultures does it inevitably create?
I think it creates one of mutual respect and support. And that is a really important thing for any team to have, is a mutual level of respect and support for each other, because you're not always going to agree and you're not always going to see the process as the same to get the end result. But if you can come together and you can respect other people's perspective and opinion and you can find ways to support each other, man, it makes you almost impossible to beat.
Definitely. You are Superman. For sure. So, Mr. Drewbie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast, your books, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
I would absolutely love it if the listener wanted to support our podcast. We interview sales professionals and entrepreneurs from all around the world. We hear some crazy stories about sales and business and life in that whole arena. If you are a sales professional and you want to learn, head over to callthedamnleads.com. We have everything listed there that you could possibly need. Or check out the podcast on all your favorite streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, you name it. We're there. Just like Mr. Daniel and all his amazing podcasts, who I once again want to thank for the opportunity. And here's the thing. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to let me know, share this one out on social media. That way others can hear Mr. Daniel's amazing show. And I'm just a small part of it, but it would mean the world to both of us if you could share this episode and let someone else know that you got something of value from it today.
Yes, people, please support us. It's a big help for us if you support. Empower people all over the world is our aim for all these podcasts. Well, how many billions we have? 8 billion, right? And one person will be empowered. That's priceless. So, Mr. Drewbie, I have one more question. Let's make this real for someone frozen. If they commit to your method for just 1 week, what is the absolute non-negotiable daily commitment?
Have gratitude. Write down 3 to 5 things that you're really grateful for every day. And by the end of that month, you're going to look back and realize your life is pretty dang awesome.
Definitely. Be grateful, people. Stop complaining. Count your blessings. Just right now, I'm being grateful that Mr. Drewbie is my guest on Outback Cafe. So grateful, be grateful, be grateful. So, Mr. Drewbie, thank you so much for your time.
See you next time, Daniel.
Motica people, see you soon.